This past weekend, I set out on a photography challenge. It was to photograph an event that is one of the most unique to experience in the sky, especially if you're a landscape photographer, and that is a solar eclipse. Now, unlike the total solar eclipse that we experienced this past April, which was amazing for those of you who got to witness it in totality, this was a partial solar eclipse. And the best part is that this partial solar eclipse was occurring at sunrise. Now here in New England, it was possible to see it. However, there were a few big challenges, mainly the weather. Rain was in the forecast for Friday night into Saturday morning when the eclipse would occur, which meant clouds were also on the forecast. And I don't know if you know this, but clouds do not bode well if you want to see the sun. Now I had another unique challenge on top of this. I could not travel more than 20 minutes from my house because my wife had to work. She had to leave the house at 7:15. So between 6:35 in the morning and 7:15 in the morning, I had to arrive at a location set up for this eclipse, photograph the eclipse if I see it, leave by no later than 6:50 to get back home for 7:15. This is as close to Mission Impossible as I could imagine. Did I see the eclipse? I'll let you guess. Okay, so I'm here and it is very lightly raining still, which is not good. It's not raining much, and it's 6 o'clock now. The eclipse starts in 35 minutes. But I'm thinking the odds are low that we'll be able to see it from here. Bummer. But there's still time for the forecast that I saw to pan out and for the rain to stop and for enough of these clouds to move out so that it's visible. Nothing to do now but wait. Got up at 4 a.m. to see if this was possible. I knew the odds are low, so can't be too upset. I'm still upset. So if I were to be optimistic about the potential of getting the eclipse, those clouds in the gap there is what I would point to, because it is moving slowly towards the east. But I think time is not on our side. There's also a little gap in the clouds there. It's very cool and very moody right now, but not what you want when you're trying to get an eclipse. These clouds are the opposite of what you want. All right, so this is about where I want to be, and you can see those two little gaps there. Looks really cool, and I'm certainly going to want to take a photo of that, but it wasn't the goal today. But time is running out. The eclipse is going to start in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to get set up and hope something appears in the 7-ish minutes I have to shoot this. What did I get myself into? Well, that's neat. Not an eclipse, which starts in about 5 minutes. I'd put the odds of getting it or seeing it at all at about 0.5%. Not looking good. But at least I tried.
and it's not over yet. And there's these really interesting clouds that are the opposite of what you'd want for an eclipse, but might make for a really cool sunrise. So I'll think about getting that too. If these clouds over here, this gap over here, could just slide in the next 5 minutes, there's a chance with this little opening, and I'll show you it, that it could be seen, but I don't think that's going to happen. Those are the breaks. Nothing to do now but to sit and wait. So it's 6:38, which is when we're supposed to get maximum visibility, but we don't have that at all. These are the days where this hobby can just be mind-numbingly frustrating. If this gap in the clouds had been just a little bit further over, we would have seen it. But by the time the sun rises, it's going to be done. It'll just look like a regular sun. But I am proud that I came out and tried, even though the odds were low. We'll just have to wait for the next one in, I think 2 years. And I don't even think that one's visible here. I am going to leave with this consolation prize, if I can get the image to happen quickly. It's nice and moody. Let's see. All right, that's all the time I have. I've exhausted every minute I have, and I didn't get the eclipse, but time to go home. Hi.
Dada.
Hi. Did I make it back in time?
Dada.
Hi.
Glad to see that I made it back just in the nick of time, despite totally missing out on the eclipse. But we can't control the weather. But what I loved about this challenge, this photography experience for me, is that it is such a microcosm of what I navigate as a landscape photographer, having this hobby, this pursuit of trying to capture brilliant moments. I've talked about this in previous videos. In this time in my life where I'm a husband, I have a full-time job, I have very young children, my time is very precious, and I don't get the chance to go out and photograph as often as I would like, or I don't have the chance to just head out whenever and be around to wait for conditions to happen. Normally, if I'm out in the morning, I have a very finite amount of time because I either have to get to work or I have some parental commitment. So this posed really just all of the barriers, all of the obstacles that I could have imagined facing, where there's poor weather, I got to be back at a certain time, I couldn't travel anywhere. Fortunately, what I kind of discovered is that if you were in New England, you probably didn't have a very good chance of seeing it. I know there were some folks in southern Rhode Island and parts of Connecticut that managed to capture the very end of the eclipse, but most of the really great shots I saw happened as far north as over the border in Canada. I certainly didn't have the time to go to Canada to capture this eclipse, and so I worked with the hand that I was dealt as best as I could. I went out, I tried, I found a location that, if it had been visible, would have made for certainly an arresting, if not incredible, photographic moment. But that didn't happen. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't go out and try, and it certainly means that I shouldn't commit to the practice of trying to pursue the things that excite me about photography. And all in all, it was still really fun to get out. It was still really fun to try and photograph this thing. I like events like this. I like trying to chase moments that are either very specific or very fleeting. And in this case, it was both. So one challenge that I may not have succeeded in a literal sense, but I still feel like I succeeded in trying to do it. I think that's just important, a part of this photography practice for me. So, as always, thank you for watching this video. Thanks for following along on my Eclipse journey that was not to be. And when I am out again, which will be soon, I'll see you then.